There's a threat in the world today. A threat to our way of living, a threat to our society, and maybe even a threat to our very existence. And what is this threat?
So that pretty much wraps it up. NASCAR in segment 1. Would you agree?
Yeah.
So moving on to segment number 2.
Just a little reminder, I guess, where we go for all of our sporting needs and wants and desires. We go to BWSPORTS1.com.
That's right. BWSPORTS1.com gets all the info you need about checkers and wreckers, black and white sports, esports and whatnot with Mr. Julian Thomas.
Yep.
And speaking of going to BWSPORTS1.com, hit that subscribe button. You can subscribe to BWSPORTS1.com, and we will have a weekly newsletter coming out. I believe the ass was talking about last night. So if you're interested in getting the weekly newsletter, you should be. Hit the subscribe button.
Absolutely, and guys, we really appreciate it. I mean, we're putting some effort into this. We're really putting some work and some reading, some
a lot of YouTube hours
studying, I guess. And we haven't studied in a while,
Yeah.
So it means a lot that we're really producing something quality, and we do try to get on at 11. Trying to fix the
we
gremlins
were on
from the
11
Paddock.
today.
I know.
The sound's tight. I mean, we're getting somewhere.
And we really appreciate you guys sticking with us.
We got the new
following.
Checkers and Wreckers banner hanging up behind us.
Sweet.
That is pretty sweet.
It is.
It's spiffy. It's
new. You can smell it when you walked in the room. Yeah, that's how new it is.
The room doesn't smell like the ass's feet anymore.
Nope. So, but yeah, thank you guys. Really, we really appreciate everything, all the interaction, all the comments that you guys do. Yeah, every single
share,
exactly,
everything, man.
Every time you guys do that.
And while you're talking about that, with racing season coming up, hey, if you are a racer or you work on a race car or you just hang out at the racetrack, any form of racing that you're involved in, hey, post pictures on the page, man. That's what the page is for. We want to interact with you guys and know what you're into and stuff like that. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Let us know if you're in the area doing a race. Let us know where you're at. If we can make it out there, we'll make it out there. I mean, we'll bring the kids. I mean, you don't have any, but I got 3, so I gotta have to tote a couple of them.
I can share one.
I'm sure.
Hell, I mean, even the ass and I were on here singing "Baby Shark" with Graham last night.
Right. So
that's how dedicated we are, folks.
Yeah, it might look like we're just hopping on here and having fun, but really we're trying to do it and figure some stuff out and get better as we go. But we really appreciate all.
Speaking of BWSPORTS1.com, you can go there and find out on the info because April 6th, which is next Saturday. We all have a very big day. We have a double header going on that day, folks.
We do. That's pretty
We
good.
have TommyBoy and I will be shooting out to Ingalls RC Speedway Raceway. I don't know if it's Speedway or Raceway. I know I've said both.
I believe it's Raceway.
And checking out some quarter scale RC car action. Yeah, it's going to be awesome, man. I'm telling you. You guys are definitely in for a treat to watch this.
I'd assume that is a friendly family friendly area.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure I'll have 1 or 2 of the kids with me, so that should be a good
most
time
definitely
there. Hopefully maybe get the wife out there, see if I can get her into some racing. I know the first time she went to the 500, it was
speaking of Ingalls, though, they'll be running limited sportsman, sprint car, and East Coast modifieds.
Very nice. So that
which
let's get a picture of those. If his name is Scott, correct?
Yes.
Scott, if you could shoot us a picture of just like what those bodies look like.
Just post them on the page.
Yeah, that way we can kind of get that out there and show everybody what we're going to be diving into this week.
Yeah.
So I can get a kind of look at it too.
And speaking of East Coast modifieds, that's one of my favorite race cars. I just think I love the look of an East Coast modified car. I think they're just super sexy. So I'm hyped. But so after we're gonna spend some time at Ingalls, and then after that we're gonna load up, head out and shoot on downtown to Dick's Last Resort.
You should have said race on downtown.
Well, race on downtown, either way. I drive a Chevy Cruze, so I'm not racing much anywhere.
You could be racing the Cavalier next year.
Right. It does have a turbo.
Exactly.
But we're gonna race on downtown to Dick's Last Resort because our brothers, the Ass and the One, will be doing a Black and White Sports live show for the Final Four at Dick's Last Resort, and Tommy Boy and I will be there. Tommy Boy.
You're all tied up.
Tommy Boy. We'll be down there as well. We'll be going live. They'll have the show on the PA system at Dick's Last Resort, so you can hear it while you're in there.
By chance, you can't get up near the man candy up here.
Right there's going to be a lot of man candy. Man. We're all just a bunch of hunk of burning tater tots.
The hunk of burning tater tots.
Yeah, just keep your distance.
Daniel's saying something about baby alligator heads too.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure we'll see some baby alligator heads too. Tommy Boy's always throwing shade. That's what he does, Dan. You should know that by now. It's your brother. You've known him all your life.
Well,
all his life.
Well, yeah, he has not known me all his life.
Right. He's known you all your life.
Fair deal.
Right. But moving on, let's talk about how did you enjoy COTA last week?
That was a fun race. I definitely IndyCar will be back there. I don't think there's any questions on that. That track is made. I mean, that's beautiful. It's a beautiful track. Awesome. It's a fun race. That was exciting.
Myself, I enjoyed it. I you know what? I watched it, and then later on that evening, because I'd recorded it, I watched it again.
I still want to know what the heck that.
I think it's an observation deck.
That's what I saw.
I think you can just get up there, take an elevator, and I can just
see the whole track.
Yeah, I think that's all it is.
That's probably an expensive ticket.
Oh, I'm sure you have to know some people that know some people that know some people to get there.
Right. Absolutely.
But
you're in the NTT.
Yeah. But Colton Herta, the rookie, the 18-year-old rookie, pulls off the win, his first IndyCar win and his second start at COTA. How impressive is that?
I am impressed with the driving, but I cannot stand that paint job.
I liked it.
I hate the Yankees. I hate the pinstripes. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. Get pinstripes at IRL. Please.
You're just a hater.
Absolutely.
See, there we go. Tommy Boy throwing shade again.
Throwing it out.
A habitual shade thrower. That's what you are.
No, in all honesty, Herta can drive a car.
Man, that kid.
And I'm excited to see Steinbrenner as an owner, like I said, kind of jump into that top tier. Because it's bringing more competition to.
But and okay, but see, you're kind of contradicting yourself because you're saying take the pinstripes, and you hate the Yankees and this, that, and the other, which I understand that because we're not even going to speak about the team that you like, but you got to appreciate the fact that he's bringing new money into IndyCar and everything like that. So, I mean, hey, you know what?
Don't like the Yankees.
If you want to fly the pinstripes of the Yankees,
you're saying
fly away.
At least he didn't have a Yankee logo. I was looking for it.
Hey,
it's like, dude's going to have a Yankee logo on his car.
If he wants to, go for it. You're spending the money, buddy.
No, right. And I'm with you. Like I said, I'm glad he is in the sport.
That's bringing more new sponsorship money, exactly. and that's what IndyCar needs to keep growing and keep moving forward. So,
exactly. No, I agree.
So yeah, I'm all about that. But getting back to COTA, that win was very impressive. There was some other teams that struggled. I mean, look at Willpower. You lead most of the race. Come in for a pit stop, go to pull off, and the input shaft breaks.
Yep, nothing. I mean, no fault of your own. You can't do anything there.
I mean, is it? Did he get on it too hard to snap it?
Do you think that was something on him?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't think a driver like Power is the one to do that. Myself, I think that's more of a mechanical.
I would hope not.
You're right. You don't know, but it was a new track. Everybody, like we said, was a rookie, and Michael Hanowski. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
He did. He called that last week with.
He did.
With Herta, and he didn't call Brian Herta. He called
Colton Herta.
He did call Colton.
He got two snaps and a twist.
Can you do that one more?
No.
Come on.
No.
Please.
That's not happening again.
Oh man! If anybody didn't see the video and is just listening to this, I highly recommend you getting on the page and looking up the snaps and twists.
It just replayed.
That's fantastic. Did it really? That's awesome. Oh man, we're having too much fun here.
Hey, but that's what Checkers and Records is all about: racing and having fun, man.
Absolutely.
If you can't have fun, don't do it.
No, I completely agree with you.
But
then Kevin Sorgan says Muncie Dragway is opening next weekend. So
haha, Dan, you're funny.
That's exciting. There's a lot of people that were delayed.
There's a lot of tracks opening up next weekend.
Yeah, a lot of people delayed.
Racing in Indiana is about to be back and popping.
Yep, the green flag is about to drop.
What about going back to Dakota? Ferrucci and Rossi pop wheelies. Did you see the Indy cars popping wheelies?
Oh, yeah.
I know how, especially like Rossi's when he got too close and basically all he did was climb his wheel.
Yep.
And it threw him up. And I was like, whoa, when he come down, I thought, man, he just broke something.
Yeah.
Which he didn't. He continued on, but he didn't run as good as what he was running.
No, after that, I mean, he was running second the whole day. It seemed like it didn't matter. It was Power and Rossi. I mean,
right.
He was chasing him the whole time, and he had the speed.
Well, and speaking of having speed, and what gets me is if you watch the Ganassi cars were like screaming fast until their tires the new wore off of them. When the tires got old, those cars were junk. I mean, they were. It's like, what happened? I mean, even Dixon, I can understand, with Rosenquist being on old tires, and if the car was a little ill handling, with him being a rookie, fighting the car. But with Dixon being a veteran, he's driven the car on old tires when it's ill handling, so he should know. And he just didn't have the speed either.
No,
I mean,
neither of them did on that. You could tell in St. Pete they had it.
Oh yeah, they
definitely were missing something in Coda. But this is hysterical. I'm reading the comments here, and on Hanowski, Dan says,
Mike Wazowski.
Wazowski, did you turn in your paperwork?
Yeah, I do like Monsters Inc. That's a good show. Well, and then so IndyCar's off this weekend,
unfortunately,
and their next race is the Grand Prix of Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park, April 7th.
Newgarden won that last year, I believe. Didn't he?
I think you are correct on that.
I think he did.
And that's a fun track to watch race at too.
Oh yeah, I really like the first 3 or 4. Coda's new, but the first 3 or 4. So like St. Pete, Alabama. Then you got the Grand Prix of Indy. Those are really good road courses. I really like those. I do.
I don't know if it's on the schedule. I haven't looked at the full IndyCar schedule this year, but I would really like to see them get back to Laguna Seca if they're not racing there. I've always liked that track and the corkscrew turn. I believe from the top of the corkscrew turn to the bottom is like a 2 or 2.5 story drop. So to me, Laguna Seca is just an awesome track.
That was what was fun to watch at Coda too, was that climb up that hill.
Yeah.
What they said, that was like a 30-story hill, or you're climbing 30 feet, or I can't remember exactly what it was.
My favorite part of Coda is the 16, 17, 18 combination when you're running downhill, coming down through there, and I mean, you are getting it. And it's just bam, 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 bam. And then, you come out of that turn and then you're on the straightaway. I think that's a real fast technical section. And I like it. I love that track. But, so IndyCar being off this week, next weekend, they'll be back in action at Barber Motorsports Park. But this weekend, besides NASCAR, we do have MotoGP. I think they're in Argentina. Is where MotoGP at, and Marc Marquez takes the pole again. I don't know if you're too familiar with MotoGP. I try to follow it. With it not being on TV,
hard to catch.
It's hard to follow. I do have the MotoGP app, but now everything's going to pay $149.95 and you can stream everything MotoGP. I'm like, nah, I don't want to watch it that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
But
MotoGP, if you'd like to sponsor Checkers and
right,
Records,
and give us free passes, we'll watch it.
Talk about you all week.
But and just a quick disclaimer, folks, before we get into this next little part here, we had already had our picks down before
Right.
the race started.
We meant to talk about that before it started.
But getting into that, the F1 Bahrain Grand Prix is happening right now.
Yes, it is. It's going on right now, and we don't have anything going on. We're not watching anything.
No,
the phones we're paying attention to are our notes. You can see there's no video on there, no racing going on. This is just the video of us on the podcast on my laptop here. So we're not watching the F1 race. No intel here, nothing in our ears.
Right. So yeah, the Bahrain Grand Prix, and 3.3 miles, 15 turns, and they're going to run 57 laps today.
I think, and this has been a pretty interesting race in the past.
Oh yeah. Bahrain's been like a kind of a turning point race, even though it's early on in the season. It's like where teams kind of find out how they stand for the rest of the season.
Well, Ferrari had a rough start.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Ferrari in Australia looked like they were out to lunch.
Yeah.
And then they come into Bahrain, and man, where'd the speed come from?
Oh yeah. I mean, now I guess only one of them had really the speed, if you will. So that kind of.
Oh, is Vettel still complaining?
Well, he's fourth. So you got Ferrari, Mercedes, Ferrari.
I think that was Vettel's.
You think he
driving?
Well, and that brings me to a question for you here. You're a Schumacher guy.
Oh, I love Schumacher.
Like you saw what I posted.
Oh yeah. But hold on before we get into that.
Yep. Sorry.
So going back to the Ferrari and going back to the speed, you take. He's not a rookie. But he is a young driver.
Young, yeah.
21 years old, I believe, is how old he is.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Charles Leclerc goes out and puts the Ferrari on the pole, and it is a new track record for the 21-year-old. And that's very impressive considering, like you just said, Australia, they had no speed.
No, they couldn't find it.
They come to Bahrain, and, I mean, he didn't just barely break the track record.
Second.
I think he was a half second faster than Vettel previously had the track record, and I'm sure that really upset Sebastian Vettel because he seems like he's not the friendliest person.
No, he was going. They were walking up to the podium in Australia, and who got Verstappen?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a young kid.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like a little kind of a prick too, but he was walking, and he's got a smile on his face. And he's like trying to talk to Vettel, and Vettel just keeps walking.
Oh yeah.
It's like,
I mean,
dude, you can smile. You just won the race, man. You can have some fun. That's what
it's funny when you watch like IndyCar or NASCAR or series like that, and you'll see before the race or after the race, drivers talking to other drivers, or their kids hang out with each other.
Yeah, that didn't happen in F1.
F1, you don't see them talking to each other. It's like they hate everybody besides them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, half of them probably don't speak each other's language, so they probably don't know how to communicate a lot of times.
Well, I think a lot of them speak some English. I think some of it's broken, but right. I think most of them can speak English.
They can at least talk the track together.
Right.
And then
what's up, Mr. Brian Wiley? How are you this morning, sir? So yeah, that was pretty impressive with Ferrari. But going back to what you were saying, I know what you're going to say, but Absolutely. I'm not going to ruin it for you. Go on.
So yeah, I posted a article this week on our page about Schumacher doing a little test run for Ferrari.
Mick Schumacher,
that is correct. And they're saying he had speed. He was hitting it. He's looking like his dad behind that wheel. Does he take the seat? And do we have a very young Ferrari team next year?
When you posted that article, and then I had seen another article about it, and I posted it, and I put, "Is somebody getting the boot at Ferrari?"
Mm-hmm.
I really can see possibly Vettel being gone.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
I mean, because
you're not going to take the young guy.
I don't think you're gonna. I think this season's going to determine. I mean, if Leclerc's going out and he can be fast, but he's wrecking, I don't know if they continue to have him. And I think he might have only signed a 1-year contract, or was it 2?
I'd have to check.
We ran down contracts in one of the previous shows, right. And I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, with Vettel bad mouthing the car and the team and stuff like he does, I can see him being gone. And Ferrari, Ferrari, I wouldn't say, maybe I will say, kind of a loyalty with Schumacher.
Oh, well, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, you look what Mick's father did in that Ferrari for years. So I can definitely see them. Yeah, hey, Vettel, you're gone. We're going to keep Leclerc and Mick Schumacher and have two young, very talented drivers.
Cheap.
I don't know if it'd be cheap. I don't think F1 and cheap coincide with each other.
I mean, it's no Vettel and Hamilton.
No, I mean Hamilton's definitely commanding probably the most money in F1 right now. But yeah, I would love to see a Schumacher back in an F1 car.
Why not?
I mean, because you had Michael and Ralph for years, and not taking anything away from Ralph, he wasn't the driver that Michael was.
No,
Michael
was a legend. He's probably one of the best drivers I've ever seen. And I never
next to Ayrton Senna.
That's a hard, because you never wanted to watch F1 back in the day. Because who's going to win?
I did.
Who's going to win? Michael Schumacher's going to win.
But it wasn't. He didn't win everything.
No,
I mean he did win a lot of races. You figure back then though, you had Mika Hakkinen, Jarno Trulli. I think you had a young Fernando Alonso.
Yep.
I mean, so
he took him down. Alonso did.
Yeah. But you had Kimi Räikkönen.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, definitely Michael Schumacher was the favorite. I mean, when he was on the track, he was the favorite to win the race. No doubt about it, hands down. And that was my guy. I mean, I was always a big Michael Schumacher fan, and that's why part of the reason why I root for Ferrari now is because of Michael Schumacher.
Right. See, and I was a lot younger then, so looking at it, I'm looking at the sport with a lot of money, thinking, oh, well, Ferrari's just throwing this thing. But no, looking back at it, this guy could drive that car.
Oh, man.
I'm not saying I didn't think he was a good driver back then. Obviously, you got to drive the car to win. But, I mean, having the car does help a lot.
It does. But, it also, you take a driver like that, also makes, like we spoke earlier, you take a car that's just a little bit behind the other car, the driver's going to make up for it. I mean, and a driver like Michael Schumacher will make up that gap.
Exactly. No, right. I'm with you 100% there. So, no, I think it'd be interesting to see how this year turns out.
No,
Ferrari.
don't. I'm not reading that post on F1. Do not post about F1 because we haven't let our picks, and I'm recording it, so I don't want to know anything that's going on. I'm going to watch it when I get home. So going back to that in F1, who do you think wins the battle of the rest, if you will? I mean, you take Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. That's your teams. I mean, that's the top three championship contender teams, hands down, no doubt about it.
Are we talking today or overall in the season?
Overall in the season, who do you as of right now, who do you think the team is going to be from what you've seen in F1 to win the battle of the rest?
Part of this is because of the skill behind on the driver, but Daniel Ricciardo running with Renault. It's now granted they're trying to find that power, they're trying to find that, but he's a driver. I mean, he can do it, and I think if he can get around to it today, I don't think he does it. We'll talk about that a little later. But I think going forward, I think he finds his groove. I think they find the power. I mean, if not, they know they're not going to keep him. We talked about that.
Right.
And they need that driver because he will go somewhere. He's not going to.
But here's my thing on that. You're saying, and don't me wrong, I am a big Daniel Ricciardo fan. That's one of my favorite drivers in F1 right now because of his karting background. But you look at his teammate, Nico Hülkenberg, he's going out top 10.
Right.
So... Well, is it just Ricciardo trying to get accustomed to the car and the team and everything like that? And once he gets familiarized with it, you'll start seeing the pace and okay.
He's a driver, but that's what. And I'm come to find this out a lot more as I've gotten older. But F1, the difference in the chassis, the car, everything. Yes. When you switch teams, man, that's a whole new game.
Well, that's
now, granted,
what we were saying.
Were both up there. They both got money, but that car he's driving now is not what it was last year with Red Bull. I don't think it is.
Oh no.
And so he's got to adjust to that. He's got to find, okay, this is a what's the best? He's driving a Buick or a Chevy now when he was driving a Cadillac. So and he had that nice, if that makes any sense.
I pick up what you're saying.
Yeah, okay. So I think now he's got to adjust to how can I get this speed with this car, because he can do it. But like we saw last week, I mean, he started near the back, and when he started near it wasn't last week, the last race, he started near the back, he got chopped away, and it wasn't his fault, but that's what happens when you start near the back. You can get knocked in a first, or that startup, you get knocked by a guy trying to go from 21st to second.
Well, this is what I'm going to say on that. I don't necessarily think that it's the speed he has to find. I think you go from a car like the Red Bull car to the Renault he's running now, the handling is probably far superior on the Red Bull.
Oh, yeah.
So when you go back to these tracks and you were used to driving this car in this deep in the turn, and now the handling's not there, you almost have to learn how to drive this track again, because you're going to have to drive the whole track in a different way than you have previously.
Exactly right.
So,
and he's tested, but I mean, he's only had so long to test at some of these places, and
right.
I mean, he's a professional driver. He knows what he's doing, but it takes time to find that. I really, and so that's why I think, maybe.
So who are you saying is going to win the battle of the rest?
I think Renault. You
think Renault?
Yeah.
I would have to disagree on that one.
Who are you saying?
I'm looking at I want to say Sauber, just for the fact that Kimi Räikkönen is putting together some good finishes in that car, and looks pretty good considering the fact that he's in a Sauber.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I would really like to say, but I'm not going to say that, just for the simple fact I'm going to say Haas.
That was my
I'm going to say Haas wins the battle of the rest, just because they were so close last year to getting that 4th place in the manufacturers championship. I mean, they were very close and got eked out just by a little bit. And part of that's because you look at the first part of the season last year, Romain Grosjean was just, dude, he was a head case. He was all over the place. He was going to a therapist and everything to try to get this part worked out. And you look at the second half of the season, he started coming on and looked good. Where you take Kevin Magnussen, he's just a strong competitor and strong driver and giving you strong finishes out of that car week in, week out. So all in all, I say you take that duo and that car, they win the battle of the rest.
That's if I had a pick after Renault, that was my other pick would have been a Haas because of Magnussen. He can sling that car, he can do it. We've gone a little over.
Yeah,
we just been kind of rambling.
Well, I know. So I think it comes to that time that before we get to that time, real fast, April 14th. You know what's going down?
April 14th. You tell me.
MotoGP is going to be at COTA.
MotoGP.
Yeah,
nice.
I would like to go to that race and check it out. Hopefully it's televised. It should be, since it's in the United States. But yeah, so April 14th, we have MotoGP at COTA.